Audio boys and girls, it's time for another Jeep Talk Show interview, and Tony is back. You guys, I think you've been here 3 or 4 times. I think it's actually like 5 times if you count the roundtable that you joined us on. You're serious about teaching people about what you've learned over your many years. I mean, right here in this intro, it talks about GenRite being around 20 years, and I know that you've been around longer than that. So Tony is the founder and current president, we're coming back to that, of GenRight Off-Road. He has a history of racing, wheeling, and off-road camping. He stood on the podium twice at King of the Hammers. His hours of testing and tuning shocks and suspension has trickled down into the GenRite product offering. His Jeep JKU, called Teramoto, has set the standard for suspension quality and durability in the industry since 2012. Tony also hosts a weekly tech talk show, and I often tell our listeners about that because it's a really good show, and you interact with the audience. People can ask questions, they can ask add-on questions, more explanation about what you're talking about, which I think is wonderful. On YouTube, help teach off-roaders the right way to do things. Both Tony's boys are involved with GenRite and love off-roading and racing too. Who wouldn't love racing? I mean, I told you before we got started, I'm not a big watching racing fan, but man, doing it now, that would be something. Well, that's right. You actually take people out to King of the Hammers and scare the shit out of them. I mean, get them the enjoyable ride.
That's another way to put it.
Yeah. So GenRite is also celebrating their 20-year anniversary. That's great. Congratulations on that. How many times have you been scared about going out of business, Tony?
Probably at least 3.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah, there was definitely times where I put it all on the line, and if it went bad, I was living out of a cardboard box.
Well, I mean, that's what you got to do, right? I mean, and also too, sometimes you just make bad decisions, and it's not necessarily that it's a bad decision. It's just you misread the market, misread where you were going to go in whatever direction, I would think.
Yeah, that I've been okay on. It's been other factors that were out of my control, like COVID or the recession or crazy inflation that we're in right now. Those are the things that you just can't foresee. So
let me just get right in here and ask you about this. Now you make the vast majority of the stuff that you sell. So it's U.S. made. I think you got some things that you sell that aren't your stuff. I mean, you're like reselling.
We call them marketing partners, right? They're third-party companies that help us sell our suspension. So it would be the coilover shocks or the brakes or the tires or wheels, right?
Right.
And then what I do is I find the best ones, and those are the only ones we offer.
So I guess there's direct and indirect. Have the Trump tariffs affected you directly? In other words, have the tariffs themselves affected you directly? I mean, if it affects another company or maybe somebody that works that tariffs affect, then they don't have enough money to spend with you. I understand that's a way a tariff can affect you. What do you think about the tariffs in your business? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's a great question. So Look, I believe that the president knows what he's doing, right? He's mastered the art of negotiation. So he had to do something to get the upper hand on these other countries. Otherwise, what's his leverage on them to negotiate? So although I don't like it, I understand it. And it hasn't affected us in terms of, we're not importing products. So that's fine. But it scares people. And it scares the market. And what happens is suppliers start raising their prices. So it just messes up the whole inflation thing, so it's just disruptive, unfortunately. But I understand why he's had to do it. So I've had to make hard decisions like that too.
Yeah, it's kind of like short-term pain, long-term benefit.
Yes.
And I'm in the same way of thinking, I think, as most people, because I was always taught in school, tariffs are bad. You shouldn't do tariffs. And then when Trump came out with that, I was like, okay. And then I started understanding what he was doing with it. And it's a leverage. Everything is about leverage. I was not a Trump fan for many years. And I still don't have to be a fan, just do your fucking job.
And politics is such a crazy
but that's what I was going to say. I now want business people in charge of the country, not politicians.
Right. Because a lot of them are career politicians, and it's the good old boys club, you know. And boy, I don't like that. I don't know about you, but I don't like it.
No, I don't. I hate politics. I've always hated politics, and I liked it when I was in my 20s, where I didn't care and I didn't pay attention. But now I understand how it affects us. I mean, it affects you. It affects your business. It affects people's ability to buy your product. And if they can't buy your product, you can't have a business. So, and it's not just your business, it's other businesses as well.
That's right.
All right. So yeah, I didn't think tariffs really were affecting you directly as far as, it costing you things. So the aluminum, the steel that you get to make your products, is that something that is sourced locally, or do you have to buy imported steel?
So we buy them from brokers here in the United States, American companies. Mm-hmm. Most of it is domestic. I do know that sometimes if there's a shortage, they'll outsource it from other areas.
Right.
I'm not even sure. Honestly, I don't even want to know, because I feel like I'm buying domestic, and that's what I want,
Have you seen a quality issue when it's not domestic, or even when it's domestic?
In fact, most of the time, other countries have picked up the slack from businesses that we used to do a great job at here in the United States that no longer exist. I'll give you an example. I met a guy, an older gentleman, and he's probably in his 80s, who used to work at the Saginaw steering box plant, right back in Michigan. And they figured out the right combination of iron and everything to make the box work.
Right.
And it wasn't until that plant was basically extinct, and then it went overseas, and now those are now made overseas. That manufacturing ability doesn't even exist here in the States anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we even have a choice. And that's happened to a lot of things, at least in my lifetime, where it used to be made here, but now you couldn't even buy it here if you wanted to. So unfortunately, that's just the way of the world. And, everybody talks about it as more of an international market, and, like it or not. But I understand where our president's coming from, that, it's lopsided, right? Everybody sells stuff to us. They don't buy anything from us. Yeah. We're trying to even that out, and I get it. I was going to step back on your initial question, which was, one of the things that really hurt us a couple years ago was when our previous president took away our R&D credit. And what was even worse was not only did they take it away, they made us pay for the products as if they already existed, if they were finished and done. And I know that actually put several companies out of business because they couldn't do that. So that was a huge thing that we're actually waiting for Trump to reinstate.
Oh, really? I'm surprised that didn't happen day one, drilling for oil.
All those things take time, and it's all part of that budget that
I had heard nothing about this. Right, so and this makes sense, where the government, the U.S. government would say, yeah, you guys are doing R&D. So I guess you get tax breaks or something like that to research and develop things. And that's what America is really known for, is coming up with new stuff. Yes. So not only, and I don't know that it's a tax, but not only did they take away the tax credit, they said, oh, you're doing stuff over there. We can't have none of that. So we're going to, basically they would tax you for.
Yes.
Good so God. What sense does that make, other than just scraping money from you?
These are earlier when you asked your question, about, mistakes or missteps. This is the stuff that I've been dealing with that, is like, I could never even foresee it coming, like just crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I always tell people, and this is both sides. I'm not picking on Democrats or Republicans. This is both sides. Right. They always talk about, healthcare and stuff like that. I said, you've been to the DMV. Do you really want them in charge of your healthcare? And I'm sure
I
there's
hear
some,
ya.
and I'm sure there's some fine DMV people out there. But I mean, you guys know, I mean, if it's government related, it's just not done the best way. Just
Yeah, it's like you poured molasses in the works. Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
do research and development. NASA did a wonderful job. Get the military and keep the military as the best one, and then let us do the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But and that's part of the issue that you're talking about. As a business person, if you want to do business overseas, those companies over there are so hungry that they'll fund all the R&D, they'll do everything, and then they'll sell you back the product that you can then sell into the market. So by the government, our government taking that away, it really motivates American companies to just go overseas
Oh
and
yeah, of course.
have stuff made.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, especially after Doge, you have to wonder how much of that's coming back to the people making these decisions to force things overseas.
No, I know. I'm with you. It's crazy.
And I'm sorry. I know people hate it when I get political, but the thing is, and this is both sides, guys. I'm not saying it's one or the other. But the thing that gets me is Congress is in charge of the spending. So it's like the movie, Who's Watching the Watchers?
Yeah.
And it boggles my mind because this is not the way I think. So not only does it have to be a businessman that's in charge of the country, running the country, it has to be a billionaire businessman.
Right.
So they won't be motivated to not do the right thing. All right.
Yeah.
So enough of that.
Well, I think it's good that people understand some of the challenges that we face, as an American company. We are one of the few. So we're trying, and I believe in it. I like American jobs. I like having an American company. So even I'll be honest, I'm not getting rich. I'm no billionaire, that's for sure. And I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. So I want to do the right thing. I like creating American jobs and American made parts. So that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Just based on our prior conversations, I think you enjoy making stuff. I think you enjoy coming up with the idea and then seeing it turn into something. And especially when people are buying it and using it and it's working the way you want it to work.
Well, a lot of that comes from back when I got into Jeeping, that there was this mishmash of parts available and nobody was doing it what I would call right. It came with no hardware or crappy hardware, or you had to buy this from this guy and this part from this guy, and then it was up to you to merge it all together on your Jeep. That was not a good setup, and a lot of those parts were import, which I didn't care for either. So when I decided to start GenRight, I wanted to make the best. I wanted to offer it complete. Back then I was a working class guy in my garage on the weekend. So when it didn't come with hardware or the right hardware or, half the stuff that I needed, that meant that I needed to now spend what little time I had to work on my Jeep out looking for parts so I could put it back together in order to have it to drive to work on Monday.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that you got to drive this thing tomorrow, sucker, or you got to drive it to work Monday. So you better do it right. Yeah.
Yes. So I, that brings me to another topic that's been kind of core to me since I started the company. I always hated it when I would hire a contractor to come out and work on my house, right? And what they do is they quote you a low price to get in the door, and then we forgot to charge you for that window, or you wanted the actual sink hooked up, they start going through this stuff. So the next thing you know, the price is much, much higher than you were originally quoted. When you look at GenRight parts, I'm trying to give you everything you need. Yes, my initial price may be higher, but the other people, my competitors, are nickel and diming you to death, I'll call it, because they're not showing you the whole picture. I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to show you the whole picture. And I'm also trying to give you the best quality so you get the best value for your money.
I'm glad you mentioned that because in that episode that is coming out today, I believe, where I have you where you're talking on Instagram, I say GenRight's great stuff. It's a little expensive, And I think you're known for that, but you're also known for the quality. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. You try to make sure that when you're buying something, you get everything you need, not, oh yeah, just go down to the hardware store, get these bolts and,
Yeah.
that, that, and the other. So that's really cool.
Yeah. It's important because I've been that guy that had to work on it on the garage floor. Oh, and I also design everything as if I'm still putting it on. And even though I've got lifts and stuff here, I still design.
Oh yeah,
it so
you have to driveway garage type stuff. Absolutely.
For sure.
Nobody has a lift. I love how they say it's easy to install, and then they're doing the install video with a lift. Yeah, I can well imagine.
Yeah.
I installed the Atlas in my XJ, and it's 100 pounds, and I can lift 100 pounds, but whenever it's like, the space is like this. It's hard to get up underneath there,
and your head's all cocked and not good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are things that you don't think of until you actually do them. All right. So, business is doing well. It's going, I won't say it's well. I'm going to put words in your mouth.
I can say
it could be better.
I'm working hard to keep it where it needs to be.
Right.
Let's leave it at that.
So the thing I wanted to circle back to, which is, this is part of the business. It says, that your intro is current president of GenRight Off-Road. Are you getting ready to throw in the towel? Are you going to be replaced?
No is the quick answer.
Right.
But I'm no spring chicken anymore. And, I want what's best for the business. Right. So, if one of my boys coming up, or I meet somebody else who, knows more than I do that would love to work for us, anything's possible.
You're still going to you'd still be part of the company.
Yes,
you might be reachable in Moab or some off-road destination by phone if they needed you, or just to give you an update on your percentages are coming in or being made. I understand. But so you're not planning on leaving. And I like the idea of the business staying in the hands of the family. And I've mentioned this before. I really like dealing with the owner, with the person that's intricately involved in the business, instead of some sort of business that comes in, an investment firm or something, and pays you millions of dollars, and then they get it. And I don't want to speak bad about Yukon Gears, but I like Yukon Gears, and from everything I've seen, they're just shit now. And it was because they got bought out, and the quality is not there. And it's not a 100% thing, but businesses are in the business to make profit. And if you can make it cheaper someplace else, there's a certain limited time there that you can make that profit before everybody finds out what's going on. So,
and by the way, I've got a CFO here, and that guy is on me all the time for margin. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm the one that's got to put my foot down and go, nope, I'm not willing to compromise on that. It's got to stay this quality. We've got to offer these features, or it has to be made here. Like simple things like that.
Do you make the CFO cry? I would think you probably make the CFO cry.
I don't know about cry, but he's definitely frustrated.
Can well imagine. Well, I appreciate you looking out for us, the consumer. Okay, so you're not planning on leaving, but you may leave in the future. Leaving,
the thing is that even if I didn't own the company, this is what I like to do. So I'd be doing this anyway. So I might as well stay and do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. We've already gone political, so I'll go a little more political. I've heard recently that in the great state of California, you guys are losing yet another oil refinery, and I think the gas has a $2.17 or something like that tax per gallon. I mean, good God! I mean, you need money to be able to pay for all these things for people that can't afford stuff.
Well, let me explain this. So. During one of the elections, the stupid voters were tricked. Okay. If you didn't read it very carefully, you thought you were doing the right thing. They're very tricky on how they word the ballot. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, they basically said, if you want us to fix the roads, you better vote for this tax.
Right.
So $2 of every gallon of gas goes toward the roads, or
Wow.
supposedly.
Right.
Right.
Or the train, the bullet train. Yeah.
Well, and the problem is this: that they're reallocating the funds. Talk about, not keeping an eye on the hen house here. It's the spending is crazy. It's ridiculous. It's definitely fraudulent. Okay. I also know that from, I do a lot of land use work to keep trails open here in California.
Sure.
And since I was a little kid, the state has collected money for a green sticker license for your off-road vehicle, right? And those green sticker funds were never allocated to where they were supposed to go. They siphoned that off. They reused it for budget shortfalls, and I'm telling you, it's a gross misappropriation of funds. Gross. Yeah. So, yeah, when you and I were talking about career politicians, that's the problem. We don't have people in there going, "Hey, we got to do what we said we were going to do, or what's right." They're just doing it. You know.
So the point I was going for was, you got a Jeep. They're known for not being very fuel efficient, and your California customers, I would think, were number one, probably, if you're a Jeeper, you're going to have a Jeep. You don't care. You're going to figure it out one way or another. Yeah. But for the new people, which it's always good to have new people. And I think that's why it's a good idea where you're talking to, both the new people and the ones that have been doing Jeeps for a while, and just correcting them on a few things. So getting the new people is great, but if you're looking at, and I don't know how the price is. I mean, the ones that I saw where they were doing the stories about the second refinery being shut down and moving out of state, they were talking about $7 a gallon in fuel. I mean, I think $5 is normal. Is there $7 a gallon gas in California?
I've heard that too. Here's the fact. The fact is that it's really hard to do business in California. So when I've gone up to Sacramento, you're going to love this. This is going to blow your mind. I met with Newsom before he was the governor, and these people flat out told me, so we don't care if you leave. Take your company, your jobs, and go. Get out of here. They no more than let the door slam on my butt. I mean, it was ridiculous. The agenda up there with the politicians, these people live in a bubble. I'm telling you, they have never walked outside. They've never bought a gallon of gas or a gallon of milk. I mean, they're completely clueless. And how do you run a state, a government, when you're that removed? And it's not even like they're trying to do the right thing. They're driving companies away, like a refinery, with so many restrictions and other things that they can't afford to do business here. Why would they reinvest in it when they can do it cheaper somewhere else? Now, here's the reality. California is still the number 6 economy in the entire world.
Oh yeah.
Right. So there's going to be things that are figured out. By the way, I also feel that this is part of how they push their electric car agenda.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that's completely money motivated too. You and I haven't talked about this. Do you know that the gasoline engine is so well refined that on a Honda Civic, the air coming out of the tailpipe is cleaner than the air going in?
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes, it is. The fact that we're pushing this agenda is absolutely politically motivated, for sure. So, yeah.
Well, and I've said this before, I think that California's goal is to get rid of all those nasty, smelly people, that they're really messing up the state park. We're going to turn California into a state park. Everybody visits, and you have to walk in and pack yourself a teepee to live in if you're going to stay there for very long.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my political thing. I just find it amazing, and it's got to be so frustrating for Californians. I think it must be frustrating even if you are the most supportive, diehard liberal. Whenever you go to spend that much money on gas,
I know.
And maybe you have the EV, maybe you have the Tesla or some other electric vehicle, and you're charging it, but you have brownouts during the summer. You pay, I'm sure you pay a lot for electricity. So, and now they're going to start charging you, if they haven't already, for using the roads, the mileage that they got to monitor your usage because you're not buying gas anymore.
That's right.
So it's an interesting world. They're talking about Newsom running for president in 2028. It would be wonderful to have the whole country run that way, wouldn't it? Everything would be outsourced. We have no refineries.
I appreciate your sarcasm.
All right, so let's get to the technical things. I want to talk about Teramoto. Now,
sure.
The first thing is, I noticed here in the intro that you gave me was it is a JKU, which makes sense. It's been around for a while. So is the Teramoto 2 or the new Teramoto, is it also a JKU?
Also a JKU, yes. Yeah, I still believe that the JK, if you really want to build an all-out crazy, off-road machine, the JK is still a better platform than the JL. So it's more computerized than, say, a TJ or a YJ, but the TJ and the YJ have their own benefits, and I'm also building one of those too. I'm doing a TJ, a budget TJ right now. I'm series on that will eventually turn into a full-blown, build. So, but for the meantime, our flagship vehicle for GenRight is still the JKU. And, they made 6.7 million of those, which is more than CJ, YJ, TJ, and LJ combined. So there's a lot of them out there. They're affordable for people like me that have a family. You need the extra doors and room and place to put stuff, even if you want to just go camping,
Right.
So the 4-door platform is good.
So you may have just answered my question. I was kind of hoping you were going to say it was JKU for the new one, because in my mind, and teach me if I'm wrong on this, the TJ is a much better platform for off-roading. It's thicker metal. It's just in general a better vehicle. And of course, you can always stretch a TJ. It's not as easy as doing a 4-door, but you can always stretch a TJ. So did you ever have a racing TJ?
We did. So my son Jordan, when he was 15, he raced a TJ in what at KOH that's called the modified class. Mm-hmm. And he built it with a bunch of old parts I had off one of my race cars. And he did very well in that. And that eventually led to today the kit that we call the Tracer. So it's part trail, part race. We call it Tracer. And nice. That is it's a very good platform. And it's by far one of our most popular ones today. It works really, really well. Now, that said, you kind of helped me step right into where I wanted to go with the TJ.
Perfect.
And this also applies to the YJ. We sell a kit that takes the TJ or the YJ to an LJ. And I'm talking a real LJ, like the top fits, everything, the corner guards from an LJ fit, everything about it is into a full LJ. That kit is, I think it's under $5,000 for the interior and the frame portion, which includes a rear bumper and a bunch of other stuff. It's a very complete kit, going back to what we were talking about before. And, you can pick up a TJ really cheap, or maybe you already have a TJ. Now you can turn it into an LJ, which if you go to buy an LJ, you're paying top dollar for.
Yes.
Which is, great if you want to keep it kind of factory-like. But now we're offering a great way to build yourself, a Jeep on 40s or 42s and have a 115-inch wheelbase. So with a better departure and approach than a JKU. So
yeah,
pretty nice.
And maybe this has to do with racing. I just realized that maybe there's limitations whenever you build a Jeep for a King of the Hammers. If it's not a modified class, there's a certain amount of stuff that you can do. Like maybe you can't stretch the JK into a thing. You need, the platform needs to be stockish. Is that the case?
Yes. So that is the case. Another good question. So that they've got the stock class, which means 35-inch tire max. You have to keep You have to keep whatever style suspension. So if you pick something with leaf springs, it's got to stay with leaf springs. If you get coil springs, then it can have coil springs. It has to stay with the factory motor platform. So if you get a ZJ and it came with a V8, then you can have a V8. If you get a TJ that came with a straight six, you got to have a straight six.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
Those were the constraints behind the stock class. The modified class allowed you to stretch it. It allowed you to go to coilovers. You could put a bigger engine in. Honestly, the 37-inch tire and the coilovers were the limiting factor as to how fast you could go, not the engine. So because you could put a giant engine in, but you're never going to realize the power and speed that the vehicle could have based on the tire size and suspension. Then you go to the unlimited class, which is any size tire, any engine, whatever suspension, whatever craziness you think you can build, then bring it. That's the unlimited class.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I imagine people really like seeing those, the unlimited.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they're awesome. Now, some of them are pretty out there and they don't work very good, but hey, that's part of the fun.
That's
right?
how you learn.
That's right. And then since then, they've introduced what they call the Legends class, which is for old unlimited class cars to come down to one shock per wheel, and they have to go back down to a 37-inch tire, but then they can race in the EMC, which the EMC class races 100 less miles than the unlimited class. They race 230 miles.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned land use, you being involved in land use. I haven't read this a lot of detail, but I was a little concerned about the U.S. military acquisitioning the King of the Hammers area. How's that going?
Well, you just love circling back to politics.
Well, is the military politics? I mean, I know there's a lot of politics.
Politics. It's politics. So I'm going to tell you a story, and we're going to get to the question you just asked. Ever since I was a little kid, right here, I grew up right here in Thousand Oaks, and when I got home from school, I could hop on my motorcycle and go for a ride, my dirt bike.
Yeah.
In 1976, the state government took away everyone's right to ride right around their home. And they said, in exchange, we're going to give you this chunk of land, which we now know as Johnson Valley or the Hammers. Okay. Now it's a 30 square mile by 30 square mile area, and it's open OHV, right? Now it is 4 hours from here. So that was a pretty big screw you. You're gone from being able to ride right outside your house or even, nearby to now you got to go 4 hours. But, back then that was like not going to happen. Right.
Right.
So then certain areas of the desert started to open up under limited use under the BLM. So about an hour from here and mostly 2 hours from here, which, when I say from here, I'm talking about the greater Los Angeles area. Mm-hmm. Of which 7 million people reside. Okay. So within a couple hours you could go riding, but there was always this threat of, well, there's a lot of natural desert tortoises and other things that we don't want you guys, off-roading and ruining, blah, 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 blah. Right. So we fought this forever to keep closures from happening. So meantime, I grew up, got a family, and transitioned over into Jeeps. And now when I go to those same areas of the desert, you know what's there? Solar panels. So what they were trying to do, back to politics, they were trying to stop all recreation from happening there, the public, the land we pay for, and put solar panels there, of which the BLM leases back to whatever company, right? So they're making money, back to money, right?
Right.
And even worse, remember the tortoise that they told us they wanted to protect and guard? Mm-hmm. Oh, they just bulldozed all the land to put the solar panels there. So much for the poor tortoise.
Yep.
So now we come back to what you just asked me about the military. Okay, so the military land that is adjacent to the Hammers is the size of Rhode Island. It is the largest chunk of land. Okay, they don't need the little bit of land we have that was given to us. And I absolutely, over my dead body, will they get it? That is not going to happen. No, that we as off-roaders will put up a hell of a fight, and they are not getting that land under any circumstances.
So Tony,
that was given to us.
Yeah, Tony, I would recommend that if the military starts giving you guys blankets, don't take them.
Yeah, because you might need them. Yeah,
I'm referring to what our government did to the Indians way back when. I'm sorry, is that too soon? So, that's horrible. I mean,
it's horrible.
I mean,
it's horrible, and it's political.
Why are we here? I mean, we're not here.
I guarantee you, it's so they can put more solar panels. All they want to do is take the area and then put more solar panels.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I was going to ask you with those solar panels out there. That's not good traction, right? I mean, it's hard to get over those solar panels, but I bet you can do it. Just air down.
And it's all fenced off, So.
Oh, a Jeep can go through a fence. They better put a moat and alligators in them. So that's very interesting. I'm glad I asked because I'm learning a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm here in Texas. And I was going to mention this earlier. California's not alone in the shenanigans that happened. We have a Beltway 8 here that goes around the entire city of Houston. I think it's over 200 miles. Beltway 8, and they said before they started building it, they have to get elections and these things approved. They said it was going to be a toll road up until it was paid for, and then it would no longer be a toll road. It would go towards our schools to help pay for our schools and stuff. Well, nope. 30 years later, it's still a toll road.
Yeah.
And now they've built another one that goes around that loop, Highway 99. It must be. I mean, I think that you could spend a vacation just traveling 99 around Houston. So we do need roads. It's important to have roads and stuff. But my God, just stop figuring out ways to tax us.
Well, and it's not about the road. What happens is the government's trying to do so much for everyone. Right. And instead of saying, nope, you can't be on welfare or whatever they call it now, they're just trying to help everybody and,
pay for everybody.
Get a job. Like, I don't know. It's a very difficult situation. And unfortunately, the people that are making the money are the ones paying for all this stuff. And it's pretty frustrating to say the least.
Yeah. Well, my personal opinion is that one of the reasons why funds are not being allocated properly in California is because they're using it for, well, you've already said they're using it for things that it wasn't intended for. And I think a lot of it is paying for the folks that need assistance. And I like that to a certain degree.
Right. But there's also some stuff that's being paid for with a political agenda back to the Doge thing. Right. And it's like, come on,
well, we need term. I know that the power would just move, but we need term limitations. People don't need to be in government their entire life. So I probably have never told you this. I think this is a wonderful idea. I wish it would catch on. I think that the political office should be like jury duty. Yeah, you get a thing in the mail. It's like, what is it? What's the matter, honey? You moan. What is it, honey? I said, I'm president again. I was just president. Yeah. and your wife says, weren't you president just 4 years ago? That and collecting funds for the government, like PBS had to get money to pay for their stuff.
Yes. Pretty funny.
All right. So let me ask you this. I'm going to try really hard, folks. I'm going to try really hard to stay away from the political stuff. But this is great information, especially with California. You guys that aren't in California know that you're curious about these things.
Well, and here's the deal. Like, we still have the Rubicon. We still have the Doozy.
Yes,
we still have,
it's a beautiful
the Hammers, right?
Beautiful state.
California has good stuff here. Mm-hmm. So even if you live somewhere else, you should be paying attention. For sure. Oh
yeah, because we all. I mean, that's bucket list. I mean, certainly Moab EJS was a bucket list. But you go into Rubicon, go into several of the places there. It's a beautiful state, and I think they use that to their advantage. That and the AC that's always on, keeping a nice 74 degrees and no rain. So. All right. So what is? And you mentioned this before we started recording. Tell folks about the thing that you're going through with new products. I did not have any idea about all the products that you're working on, because you're not resting on your laurels. You're coming out with new stuff.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I think separates GenRight from the other companies is that I, the president of the company, the founder, live, eat, and breathe off-roading, right? So it's really easy for me to, take a rock crawler, a seriously built Jeep like Teramoto out. Then I've got my JL that's all overland outfitted. I've got my budget TJ that we're building for roughly $20,000 that could go do the Rubicon. So I'm trying to fit in each one of the aspects that you folks that are listening might fall into, right? Just based on whatever spot in life you've landed, right?
Right.
Or that you've chosen to like get into Jeeping and I say I fit here, right? I mean, when I first got into it, it was just to go remote camping. All I wanted to do was get away from the public that stays in the public campgrounds. I wanted to go further back, find a good fishing area, or just peace and quiet.
Go someplace where not everybody's going. Just having a vehicle that can go anywhere. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the other national parks that's here in California is Death Valley. Well, only 10% of Death Valley is paved. So if you drive through there in a car, you only get to see 10%. The rest is off-road. Okay, so there's a ton of trails out there, but if you want to see it, you better have a Jeep. Like it's the only way you're going to see it. So, and it is beautiful. Obviously you don't go there in the summertime, but there is a lot of beauty and areas to explore here in California. Even though it seems like there's a lot of people who live here, those people all live in concentrated areas around Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco. So anyways, so for those of you that don't know, if have never heard me say it, GenRight is short for Genuine Ideas Engineered Right. So by my involvement in off-road as a person just like yourselves, right, an enthusiast, what I'm looking for is better parts, new ways, right, other things that we could be doing or should be doing. And I'm constantly trying to develop those new products. So I have over 100 new products in the pipeline for my staff to finish, getting through to being done and on the website, right? So some of those things are revisions to products we currently have that we figured out a better way to do. Some are completely brand new products that don't exist on the market. And I'll give you an example.
Oh, nice.
When I started GenRight, there was no aftermarket gas tank like we started the company with. That gas tank was revolutionary in the industry because it was reshaped in a way that allowed you to put a bigger differential in, like a Dana 60, and move it back, right? So that you could run a bigger tire and not have yourself a wheelie machine because the wheelbase was too short. So now, obviously, that's come a long way. We offer 20 different models of gas tanks now, from CJ all the way through JT. So there's a lot going on, not only with that, and we continuously evolve the gas tanks too. We reshape them. We give you more ground clearance. We give you more capacity. We're constantly making changes to even those, or even coming up with a lighter weight version. Weight is, if you're not concerned about weight, you should be. Earlier when we were talking about like TJ versus JK, just those two platforms, and it doesn't matter whether you're talking about LJ or TJ, the JK is 1,000 pounds heavier from the start.
Wow. Okay. I didn't expect that.
So it's a lot. Okay. Now, it's a 4-door. It has a much higher towing capability. There's things about that vehicle that, not to mention that it had to meet completely different safety standards, 10 years later, right? Like, these are all the things that people don't understand, that also could be falling under the politics category, just the safety stuff. But I'll tell you, when the JK first came out, I immediately hopped on a plane and I flew back to Michigan And I looked at the engineers and I said, did any of you even drive this vehicle? like when you roll down the window to look out and see where the front tire is, the freaking mirror is right in the way. I'm like, come on. This is like the people that were involved in this, obviously, clearly were not Jeep people, right? And they were like, oh, Tony, thank you for coming by. We'd like to show you all of the challenges, we're faced with. And, basically what he ended up doing was explaining to me that the way the world works, Tony, is this. If we don't build a vehicle that meets the safety standards, your wife will never let you buy it. Okay? Because she's not about to put your children or her children in a death trap Jeep, right? So it's got to meet the safety standards. Or you, Mr. Cool guy, consumer off-roader guy, will never even get to build a Jeep because your wife never let you buy one in the first place.
Right.
Okay. So once the guy said that, I was like, okay, now what was really cool was he backed it up with this. He goes, Tony, I'm so stoked you're here because you can fix all the stuff that we couldn't do here. He goes, you can actually make this Jeep the right way, off-road capable. And he's like, we will give you whatever support you want.
Oh, that's
drawings,
great.
whatever. Yeah. So it was interesting. I went in there all pissed off. And by the time I came out, I was like, wow, they're patting me on the back and like telling me whatever I need to do. Mm-hmm. Like, have at it, Tony.
So I think they still have Jeepers in there, but they're so hands are tied.
They are
to make a real Jeep and
yes.
and aftermarket. Because, ding ding ding.
Yeah. So because of the CAFE requirements, meaning the mileage requirements, right, and the safety requirements, their hands are tied. Mm-hmm. Then you look at a car company where we were talking about, we're a miniature version of a car company, right? That it's run by nothing but bean counters, right? So these guys, they're constantly battling, and honestly, I felt bad for them. They're so beat down at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The fact that they can even still get something out the door with a solid axle is like a miracle.
Oh yeah, because Congress was going to look into this whole death wobble issue that with the front solid axles. It's like, don't you dare touch the solid axle.
So at the end of the day, we're doing what we do, which is make it better. Right. And that's a big part of the reason I started my tech talk show is because I'm constantly trying to dispel everything that's out there on the internet. You got a bunch of web wheelers that, think they know what they're talking about, but don't have actual experience.
Right.
And I'm there to like fix that and give people the straight scoop about, why it is the way it is or how it's done or how it should be done or whatever the case may be. So
I'm going to set up an account that isn't Jeep Talk Show, come onto your tech talk and say, why don't you sell multiple steering stabilizers so I can get rid of my death wobble?
There you go.
That's a perfect one.
Go.
And I still see the steering stabilizer stuff from knowledgeable people.
Yeah. Well, so it's an interesting one because it will solve the problem for some people, but it doesn't get to the root cause.
Exactly.
Right. Which is what you're getting at.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it was my wife's TJ, and she got death wobble around 70 miles an hour on I-10 between two 18-wheelers. So I had to fix that. And I was shocked when I was moving the stuff around. And it in my experience, it's almost always the track bar. There was a 1/16 of an inch movement. It was tiny, and I had never experienced that before. And I was like, well, she's got the death wobble. This is only the amount that it's moving. And it's amazing that they all don't have death wobble all the time.
Yeah. Well, what happens is, that rubber in all the joints, right, has a certain amount of movement, right? So even though you saw a physical 1/16 play, mm-hmm. Well, when you get that moving, right, it's gonna, if the rubber's 1/4 inch thick on each end, that it's gonna start moving like a 1/2 inch, and then you magnify that between all the links and everything else in the front end. Not to mention, clapped out ball joints and tie rod ends, and the steering box might be loose or or it's just plain old worn out.
Right.
You get all those things together and you got one scary situation. And just like you put your wife in those circumstances 2 or 3 times, that Jeep's for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wants it out of there.
Oh, she loves her TJ. It was more like fix it. But I spent a couple $100, replaced all the front end parts. It still hasn't had any death wobble some 10, 12 years later. So it's not a hard situation. The thing that surprised me,
and you fixed it fast. You fixed it fast, because if you don't fix it fast, it wears the tires.
Oh, absolutely.
And then even if you put in all new parts, you got to get rid of those tires because they're wasted too.
Yeah. Well, I fixed it fast because, it's the wife and she's going to make sure. Why aren't you out there fixing it? And I was really surprised. And this goes back to the same thing we were talking about, the Jeep engineers having to do things, saving weight. The steering components that they were using on the JLU, that I found out through a talking interview with Steer Smarts, Jay at Steer Smarts, that they found 500 miles in brand new JL, they were getting death wobble out of it. And it wasn't because the parts didn't look beefy, because on my Gladiator, those parts were huge, but they're not thick walled. The tie rods and stuff isn't thick walled. Again, saving the weight, because, over 20 years, you'll save 0.0003 miles per gallon.
Right.
So death wobble is easy to fix. Replace what's on there on the modern day Jeeps. And you want to modify it anyway, which takes us back to you. You have great modifiers. Let me ask you this. We have this conversation time to time on the show, on the roundtable. Aluminum versus steel. And you made the comment earlier about weight is important. And certainly you have a weight savings by using aluminum. So I personally like the skid system. I got a skid system for the Gladiator before going out to EJS the second time, because I learned the first time that a full skid system is a good thing to have, especially on a Gladiator that hangs its ass way out there. I went with steel. And so what are the, other than weight, what are the downsides to steel over aluminum?
Okay, that great question. So if you're going to add steel to your vehicle, you want it down low.
Yes.
Okay. And you want it to be things that are going to be constantly rubbing on the rocks, the trees, some kind of a trail obstacle, right? Because steel has a better abrasion long term than the majority of aluminum. Okay. And I say the majority of aluminum because we use a skid plate for our suspension systems that's made out of 7075 aluminum, which has the same hardness as steel. So it will also scrape over the things with good abrasion resistance. But it's the very high end of product, right? Like GenRite, right? We're like the Mercedes of Jeep stuff.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And the other thing about 7075 is you can't bend it and you can't weld it. So as long as it's flat, you can use it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you can't bend it. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So you have to machine it. So if you want some shape to it, you got to buy a bigger piece and mill it out or turn it.
Oh, like CNC is what
CNC.
you're talking about. Yeah. That's really interesting. So, and you guys have a lot of aluminum parts, don't you? I mean,
we
bumpers.
Do. Okay. So bumpers and corner guards and things that occasionally get bumped can be out of a different grade of aluminum, that you don't want the weight of steel. So I'll give you an example. On a JK, like a 4-door vehicle, JKJL, the difference between steel and aluminum is 600 pounds.
Wow.
Okay.
Good
so
Lord.
do you want to carry 600 pounds extra for the one time you pull forward and bump into a tree with your bumper or back up into something? No way. The aluminum will do a plenty good job. Why carry all that extra weight? I mean, that's like having 3 full-size adults in your Jeep with you, so then you think about, okay, well, yeah, you load up your Jeep with, gear and people and, those things turn into 7,000-pound animals, or monsters, I should say, real quick. And you still got that little V6 just plugging away in there, trying to get it along the trail or the highway. Right. So, Yeah. So really, don't add a lot of weight to the vehicle, or only in the areas that you really have to. So I'll tell you this: we make rocker guards, just like on the Jeep behind me in the picture there. Yep. Um, that are aluminum, right? But they I sell a little steel piece that goes over the top of it called a rash guard, and it's only in the area that you would actually touch against a rock or a tree or something. But mostly that rocker guard is it there for a step. Okay, so it gives you the ability to protect the Jeep, but if you really just need it for a step because you're not a serious wheeler, then that's fine. But we make other rockers that are, 1/4 inch thick, super beefy, bolted to the frame or welded to the frame, that you can just beat on all day long. And those are for the guy that's more serious about off-roading, or knows that he wants to get more serious for off-roading. And those should be made out of steel,
Yeah.
right? Because you're just going to be, you got a 6,000 pound vehicle, you're landing on the rocker guard, right? You fall off something and bam,
my personal opinion is that you need to protect the expensive parts of the Jeep. And I always advise people, don't go with anything that has steps. If you have to have a step, look at something that has drop down steps. But I think you always need something to protect the rocker panel and the bottom of those doors. Yeah. So, there's nothing wrong with something that looks nice, and doesn't hold the weight of the Jeep, but things happen on the road too. And sometimes, you're out in California, you can have earthquakes. I'm down here in Houston, you can have hurricanes, and you may need to use your Jeep to keep it from being flooded, to get you up out of the way.
Or keep you alive, yeah.
And able to get you out of the way. And you do not want to get hung up on steps that hang down. And you do not want to have damage to the Jeep because you didn't have good rock sliders. And there's a big difference there. So no offense to any products that you have, but I think that heavy duty is always the best way to go to protect the Jeep.
Yeah, for sure. All of those are great considerations. And, everybody, like we talked about earlier, some people just want to go camping a little bit further away. Some people want to go rock crawling. Some people want a good looking Jeep to drive around instead of a Corvette or a hot rod, everybody. One of the great things about a Jeep is that it's one of the few vehicles left that is so modifiable that you can personalize it the way that you can. And I know I enjoy building the Jeep as much as I do driving. So it's part of the fun for me.
Yeah. And it really, and I'm not saying this is the reason to do it, but it really turns heads. I think everybody has at one point of their lives has always wanted a Jeep. And when you want a Jeep, you don't want a factory Jeep. You want a modified Jeep.
Modified. Yeah.
And modified is so fun. And I'll just say, I really appreciate you being part of the problem, making all these parts that could be, that help you modify that Jeep.
Yeah. I've got friends of mine that have owned all kinds of cars, Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Mercedes and just fancy stuff. They say their Jeep turns more heads than those fancy cars ever did. So,
well, especially when you modify it, because and that's the wonderful thing about Jeeps is you can make the Jeep so unique. And it's just a combination of things that you put on there. The one thing that I hate though is whenever you make modifications. I told you about putting the Atlas in the XJ. I can see the Atlas. I know what it looks like. I can get under there and look at it, but nobody else can see it. They can't enjoy just that gorgeous piece of equipment.
Yeah. I know. Unless they look inside and see the two handles, they'll never know.
I would go to a thing, some sort of event or something, and I had an XJ. Everybody's had an XJ, and I had an XJ. I said, "Did you have one?" And I'd point at the two handles that were there, and they go, "What's that?" Oh man, you ruined the whole thing. I mean, who puts who puts an Atlas in an XJ? I just got tired of the chain stretching, so it's like get rid of the chain is what I figured. Yeah. All right, so this is the other thing that I was trying to remember. I was going to tell you that whenever we get to the end, I will say something along the lines of about social media, so that you could prepare yourself. You've been doing this a long time. You know what all your social media stuff was. or is. So I'll just say it the way I always say it. You know how the kids love the social media? They like seeing the pictures. They like seeing the videos and stuff. Where can we find you guys on social media?
So you got several choices. We've got a great Facebook page, just GenRight Off-Road, Instagram, GenRight Off-Road, and of course our website, GenRight.com. That's GenRight. And both, even on our website, you can still see some of the videos that are related to the products. We've got a whole Jeep build gallery there. We also have a whole Tech Talk resource section there with downloads that you can use for checklists and things to work on your Jeep, or camping packing lists and tools and other things. So a tremendous resource. And then, of course, one of the fundamentals of when I started this company was a live person always answers this phone.
Nice.
So all you got to do is pick up the phone, and you will never go to voicemail. Somebody will answer that phone, and you can talk to a live person.
So do you have a paddle in case they let it go to voicemail? You can, they've already agreed in their contract they can get
it
paddled?
Doesn't even do that. It'll ring till somebody picks it up.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Only at night does it get turned on to a recorded message, that says we're closed.
Right.
So,
wonderful. Yeah. Oh, and which do you prefer? Do you prefer people going to your YouTube channel or going to your website? Because I would imagine that the embedded videos in the website are YouTube videos.
Yeah, they are YouTube videos, and they're typically product related. Right. So if you were
helps guide
interested
them.
but the YouTube channel has thousands of videos, not only about the product, but us off-roading, and racing. And, there's tons of stuff to see there. You can sort it, however you want. We even have things about installation and tips and tricks on, if you have one of our tire carriers and you're not happy with how it opens anymore, watch this video and we'll give you all the tips on how to, adjust it and make it open perfect again. So lots of stuff. Lots of good resources for sure.
Now we've mentioned the tech tips that you do, and this is every week, every Wednesday, I believe. Is that right?
5:00 Pacific Standard Time.
And it's live on YouTube. I think are you still doing the streaming on Facebook and some other platforms?
No, we just push the whole thing to YouTube.
Yeah. That, because I know you've had some issues where one would work and the other one wasn't work, or it would work, but there was no audio. And just do it on one. Yeah, I agree.
Just one. Yeah.
So,
and for the public, doing a live show is extremely difficult. A recorded show is like a completely
you can
different
edit
animal.
It. Yeah.
And you can go back and fix things. And, even when you upload it, like say something doesn't come through, you just delete it, reload it. When you do a live show, man, there's no forgiveness there. So
yeah,
that's a tough thing.
So the YouTube channel is it GenRight? So
yeah, GenRight Off-Road.
Somebody wants to put this on their calendar or something, get an alert, put a reminder on their phone. So I'm sorry, did you say 5 p.m. That's Pacific time?
Pacific Standard Time, yes.
Wednesday, and
every Wednesday.
And you can always, they see you. Do you have topics, or is it all the viewer driven?
So both, right? I always come with specific topics, but then I answer any question, Jeep related, of course. It takes some turns every once in a while.
Oh, of course.
But that's okay. And it's an hour-long show, but we almost always run over an hour. And I've never missed one in 5 years. So I'm on every Wednesday, regardless.
Yeah. All right. So we're recording this on Tuesday. So the next one is tomorrow. And we're very, very, very cool. So check it out. If you haven't done a tech talk with Tony, you need to check it out. It's fun. It's entertaining.
It is. Because some of the people have questions that maybe you would ask, but you didn't want to. So it's interesting to see how that kind of spirals out, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention that we just uploaded on Sunday, this last Sunday, what was that? The 14th, the 14th, was our latest Real Hammers experience, number 4.
Oh, I did see that. Yes.
Did you see that? Yeah, that is really cool. So that is where we take street legal Jeeps, including Teramoto that you and I were talking about earlier. So this means they've got to have working headlights, windshield wipers, windshield, brake lights, horn, everything that makes them street legal. They can be modified, right? But that most Jeeps are anyways. And we run the original OG13 race course. And it is a super fun thing to do. You can watch all the trials and tribulations of the different guys. Everybody's got a different platform and a different engine. And I'm sure if you watched it, you would find it interesting. It's about an hour long. And if you get a chance, check that out.
That sounds great. And the cool thing is you can legitimately tell people you've run King of the Hammers.
Yeah.
You can, I wouldn't say that you won or anything like that, but you can say, oh yeah. I've done King of the Hammers.
And just to give you an idea, during our turkey run, which is, over Thanksgiving that we just did, I had 8 customers with completely built Jeeps that said, Tony, can we just go and try and drive that course, right? Because it's 11 Hammers trails and then a bunch of desert. Only 3 of us made it out of Outer Limits, which is the first trail. So
that's really
out
cool.
of 8 built Jeeps, like it's that the Hammers is definitely legit, a lot harder than most people even realize.
Mm-hmm.
So to make it through all 8 or 11 trails is pretty unbelievable.
So Tony, I know there's ups and downs and everything, but what a life. I mean,
Yeah.
what a great life. Somebody had to live it. Might as well be you, right?
Yeah. I can't
And your
complain.
2 boys. I mean, I love the idea where the 2 boys are involved in it as well. So
yeah. And my oldest son, Jamie, took my original YJ that we called the Growler, and he took it out of mothballs and revived it. And he did our YJ to LJ stretch on it and threw a big LS3 in it. So he drives that now. That's Growler 2.0, and he's great in that thing.
yeah, you got to be very proud, especially just having your boys interested in doing the same thing you're doing. I mean, that's cool because you know how kids are. Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. It's always interesting. I know, and I did not run out of questions. I just ran out of time. Thank you so much for being here. Always a great guest, and we'll have to get you back on. We're going to try to get you back on sooner because there was so many things I wanted to ask you about, and we just didn't get to it. Again, Tony, thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.